Welcome to FinTech TV. I'm Remy Blaire. Joining me today at the New York Stock Exchange is Todd Sanders, who's the chairman and CEO of Spirits Capital Corporation. Spirits Capital launched a $35 million Tier 2 Reg A offering, which qualified with the SEC, and also that allows investors to now invest in the company, specializing in secured cash investment deeds. Todd, welcome to the New York Stock Exchange, and thank you for joining me.
Oh, thank you, Remy. Appreciate it. Love being here.
Well, first and foremost, you have a storied career. You've done so many things, but I want to learn about what you're doing with whiskey right now. So tell us what Spirits Capital is doing.
So I think we're doing a lot of things that will shake up the industry a little bit. We are basically taking the asset class of whiskey to the investing public, which for many, many years has just gone unnoticed. Meanwhile, it is one of the best performing asset classes you can ever know. It beats the S&P 500, precious metals, bonds, obviously. It's recession-proof, it's an inflation hedge. It's wonderful. And so what we're doing between our cask investment deed and most recently, we have just announced that we have created the very first whiskey exchange. It's basically the New York Stock Exchange for whiskey is what we have done, and we're very excited about it. It will transform the industry.
So Todd, Spirits Capital launched a Tier 2 Reg A offering. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're very excited about the Reg A. A lot of what we do at Spirits Capital is towards industry and accredited investors. But what the Reg A allows us is to bring in any type of investor, and so we're raising $35 million, 20 million shares at $1.75 per share, and we think that that's going to be very advantageous for the non-accredited investor that wants to participate in what's going on and what we're doing within the whiskey industry.
And Todd, before the interview, you were telling me about your days here at the New York Stock Exchange back in the 90s and how the trading floor has changed so much. So when it comes to your exchange for whiskey, how do you envision the future of this exchange?
Well, in the years that we have been building this and conceptualizing it and creating it, it was all about having a true open central marketplace for whiskey that doesn't exist. It's never existed. And this is, whiskey goes back, just American whiskey alone goes back over a couple hundred years.
It does, yeah.
So, when we sat down with, the management team that I have been lucky enough to comprise myself with, it was all about creating something where let's make sure that the pricing is right. Let's make sure that it's a fair and open marketplace.
Sure.
And that is exactly what we have done. You go back to the NYSE, which started under an old buttonwood tree, and from the very first moment, it was all about a fair and orderly marketplace. And that is exactly what we're creating for whiskey.
And what you're doing is combining an alternative asset with technology. So how do accredited investors actually get access to this opportunity? So
from our cask investment deed aspect, which is for accredited investors, what we're doing, obviously an intense marketing program. We are going through be registered investment advisors, family offices, hedge funds, and allowing them the ability to participate in the upside of whiskey and the appreciation without taking on the risk. Okay, we're the risk taker. we're not selling you a barrel. Okay, we have no interest in doing that, because what are you going to do with it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, when it comes time when you want to exit your investment, where are you going to go?
Yep.
So
Good point.
we are taking away all the guesswork. We're giving you all of the security
Mm-hmm.
and the collateral, and we are paying you, you know, a very healthy return.
Mm-hmm. And Todd, when it comes to whiskey as an asset class, I can think of several bottles that I would call my favorite bottles of whiskey. And indeed, when I look back to the price point for a bottle, say in 2010, the price has skyrocketed, much to my dismay. But when it comes to valuation, right, how does it work for whiskey as compared to any other alternative asset out there?
Well, I think the most important thing to note is whiskey doesn't appreciate when it's in the bottle.
Ah.
Whiskey appreciates when it's in the barrel.
Mm-hmm.
So we look more about mash bills, distilleries that are making it, and that is where we find the true value.
Okay.
And that is how we're able to build off of that value.
Mm-hmm. And when it comes to casks, the price point is not that cheap compared to a bottle, so that's very interesting to note. So Todd, last but not least, before I let you go, what do you envision for the future of Spirits Capital Corporation?
Spirits Capital is going to be a dynamic game changer for the whiskey industry. What we're doing with the Distilled Barrels Financial Exchange will forever change it. It is going to allow a true and fair marketplace that industry professionals can trade their barrels, can list their barrels. Our AI-driven barrel value optimizer will create a true and dynamic pricing mechanism for those barrels.
Well, Todd, it was a pleasure having you on the show here at the New York Stock Exchange, so thank you so much for joining me today.
Remy, thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.